Good
That
evening,
was
friends
wonderful.
and family, and thank you for coming to another night with Behind Black Business, sponsored by Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities. And tonight we're bringing another wonderful guest, Aluna Hector of Afro Funky Wear. And Aluna, I know you are very busy, as so many of our other business people are, but I want to thank you for taking the time to come and be with us tonight.
Okay. I'm
Yes,
happy to
ma'am.
do
Thank you.
it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We were having a stimulating conversation before we came on. But
Yes.
our organization came about to address the issue of communities, Black communities, especially here in Chicago. We know we've been under resourced in just about every area in our education, in housing, the business community, resources for our children. It's just been so unfair. And if you're going to have a community, then it's got to be a place where you can work, you can play, you can raise your family. And we just don't have those things. We have to go outside of our community to go dining and have fun. And then other people come and open up businesses in our community to give us those necessary things that we need, some food for the most part, and some clothing, but they extract and don't give back. So
Nada.
spending our money outside the community, they're taking what little money we have outside of the community. So what do you expect, our communities to look like? And so there are many people out here that are doing a lot to try and make a difference here. And so myself and two other people, Doris Lewis and Harvey Yarbrough, it's just three of us. We got together and said, we're going to do something. And I came up with the idea of supporting our Black businesses, because our Black businesses have an opportunity to help us circulate that dollar in our community. They are more likely to hire our people. You go to these other businesses, they won't hire you. They are more likely to do business with other people, like entrepreneurs like yourself, giving you opportunities to have pop-ups or selling products in their stores. If there's a cause, they are more likely to contribute to the cause. We have a country now where we're inviting all of the immigrants into our country, and many of the immigrants won't support, the Black community. And our Black business people just innately are going to serve as role models for our children. And so that's why we are big supporters of Black businesses here. And we have been having this podcast, and we bringing businesses on this podcast to let people know who you are. Because when you're having a business, you're establishing relationships with people in the community. And we want people to get a chance to know who our business people are. They're not just somebody just standing there with a store or vending a product. There's a very deep and important person behind all of this, doing a lot of work, and we want
Yes.
people to know about that. And
Yes.
so that's why we do the podcast. We have a directory coming up of Black businesses here in Chicago. We support our Black bookstores. We're great proponents of our Black bookstores because we feel like that's where it all starts, in the mind. Um, we feel we need to be supporting. We have a resurgence of Black bookstores here in Chicago. We have a lot of authors, Black people that are writing books, and we're encouraging them to put their books in our Black bookstores. So if you go to rrgbc.org, we've listed all of the bookstores. And every month we feature a Black bookstore. And this month it was Frontline.
Okay.
Frontline has an online presence now, but if you go to frontlinebookpublishing.com frontlinebookpublishing.com. They have a wonderful website where you can purchase books from Frontline. And Brother Sekou promises to be opening up his new location soon. He also vows to come back to the south side of Chicago. So he's welcome and supported, whatever he's deciding to do. And also in support of our Black bookstores, we do a book giveaway every month. And so the book this month, it's two books from Marcus Garvey, The Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, Volume 1 and 2. So all you have to do is go to rrgbc.org and subscribe, and you become eligible to win a book.
Oh, wow.
The book of choice from the bookstore that we have as our book giveaway. And so we do have a winner, and we will announce the winner at the end of the show. Please go to rrgbc.org where you can make donations. And we also have an online store, which helps us to continue to do what we're doing. And lastly, we support the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. They've been out here for 20 years now, giving loans, car loans, home loans, personal loans, short-term loans, financial literacy classes to the community to help the community in situations where many of our larger banks that we're all putting our money in all the time are refusing to give you support. And
Right.
for a bank to survive, they need you to make deposits. So we ask you to support the Southside Community Federal Credit Union located at 55th and Wentworth. So lastly, in support of our bookstores, we have a public policy division where we have petitions out. And the petition is requiring or requesting that our local schools and our local libraries give a percentage of their business to our local Black bookstores. So if you go to Save Black Bookstores in Chicago at change.org, that's Save Black Bookstores in Chicago at change.org, and sign the petition, that will help us in our efforts there. So those are announcements for the evening, and now we can have our discussion with our wonderful guest. Again, Aluna Hector, who is the owner of Afro Funky Wear. And Aluna, I have known you for many years, and I have purchased some beautiful items from you. Actually, I have a pair of jeans that I'm trying to keep them. And but when I wear those jeans, I get so many compliments. People want to know, where did you get those jeans? And so, Aluna, I understand here that you are a multi-talented artist and entrepreneur. You're a designer, you're a dancer, and you're an African travel specialist. Now, I didn't know the last part about you, but I did know
Yes.
you're a designer.
Yes, I do too. I specialize in tours to different certain parts of West Africa. My specialty is really Senegal and Gambia, and then Ghana, Togo, and Benin.
Okay.
I kind of do those three countries together, or either Senegal and Gambia. I do them both together when I travel with groups because they're very close. So those
Okay.
are the ones I specialize in because I frequent them.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, but so yeah, that's on my resume. I do that once, definitely once a year, sometimes twice a year.
Okay. Well, we're
Mhm.
going to delve into that a little more. I would like to start out with the fact that you are not originally from Chicago, but is it that you were born in Louisiana? Is that correct?
Yes, I was born in well, both my parents are from Louisiana. I was
Okay.
born in an area called Mansera,
Hmm.
Louisiana.
Okay.
And then my family, they lived mostly in the Ninth Ward in New Orleans. So Mansoura is about maybe an hour outside of New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, we have our burial plot, family burial. We have a family burial land over there. My mom has moved on, but my dad also is from Louisiana, Shreveport. So I was born there, lived there a long while with my grandmother because my parents both being young and grandchildren of sharecroppers.
Okay. Okay.
they they moved to Las Vegas for jobs. My dad is a carpenter. So he built a lot of the casinos that are up today. He was one of the, he was moving living there, building houses, building casinos and stuff. So my parents, so they were living in Las Vegas, and we were staying with my grandmother, and just kind of going back and forth.
So what year did your parents leave Louisiana? Your father?
um I want to say it had to be, see, it had to be like in the late 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, it had to be in the late
Okay.
60s that
So
they
your
did that.
dad, your dad was a sharecropper. So did your dad do carpentry work? He learned how to do carpentry work
Well,
as
his
a
my
sharecropper?
mom now my dad wasn't a sharecropper. It was,
Okay.
but they both got farming skills. So I don't know. I gotta ask him that. My dad's 96, but my
Okay.
my my mother, her grandmother was a sharecropper.
Okay.
See, when my mother was a teenager, her mother, I have a coin that her grandmother gave her on the last day to mark her words. This was her last day being a sharecropper. She
Wow.
gave a coin to each one of her grandchildren
Okay.
because she was tired of that lifestyle, because it wasn't beneficial. They weren't really making money. I did you
Sure.
hear me shut the window? Yeah, they wasn't really making money. So the
Mhm.
grand my her grandmother was tired, and so I have that coin till
Mhm.
today. So that's how come I know the story.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Now
Okay.
my
So,
dad, my mother, her family are we're descendants of enslaved people, my mother's side. But
mm-hmm.
my dad's side are black, are he's descendants of black people that were already here in America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. So
so
that's seen history.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
but they
So
both
he
have.
was not. So he was not. That his side of the family were not slaves.
No, he says that his family didn't come. His family was already here.
Okay.
So hence the I guess the Native American features that I have.
Sure.
But um he says that his people were already here. His people, his mother and father's side didn't descend from that. His
Okay.
mother was all his family was already here. So I don't want to say Indian, but I
Hmm.
want to say native to America.
Okay.
They were
Okay.
already here. And then my dad, his dad, my dad's dad was a seaman. And you know how Louisiana sits on the Gulf of Mexico.
Yes.
So his dad was a seaman that worked on the sea, going bringing goods back and forth across
Okay.
Mexico and in that whole area.
Okay.
So
Okay.
his father was, and all of that is the Americas, all of that
Okay.
area, Mexico, da 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 da, all of that. So he always says that his family was already here. They weren't descendants of slaves.
And
He
see, that's a history that you hear people mention, but it's not talked about in depth. But that is a reality. And
Right, because he
uh,
always says that we weren't we weren't that black was the first we was Indians or something like that, he said, and then
Mhm.
they changed it to black African American. He said the black people in America have been so many things.
Oh, we've had so many names.
Right.
We've
So
been
my
colored people. We've been minorities. We people of color. You know, I mean, now I don't know. Now they're just trying to
right.
mix
He's talking
everybody up.
about more so like the classification.
Okay,
The classification. So, my dad is 95 years old. So, you know, he got a lot of, he know a lot of stuff.
do you talk to your dad a lot? You should try to get as much. You should
Oh yeah.
interview him. You should interview him and try to get as much
Oh
information
yeah.
as you can. You know, because your ancestry is so important, which is where I want to go in this direction.
Right.
Because I know, you know, I read in your bio about the influence of your grandmothers, and you know, I really want you to talk about, because you went to school for Black Studies.
Right.
Well, you know, you've been in dance, you've been in the design. And
Well,
so, how did these people influence you? These people that were in your life, how did they influence you? In what ways to pursue and even persevere uh, in
well,
these
the
different
year
areas?
I remember being a small girl. I mean, like seven, maybe seven. And my parents they both sew. My dad too. They
Okay.
had a business called Ye Old Upholstery. So they could upholster they used to do furniture and cars and all of that kind of stuff, like upholstery.
Now, where did they learn how to do this?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
so I gotta ask him that too. Because I talked to him about that, but I never asked him who taught him how to do that.
Okay.
But it was both of their business, my parents together.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just remember, sitting in there with them and, just them, having people come and bring their sofas and, all of that kind of stuff. I even remember my dad doing his own car at one time. So, yeah,
He did, and you know, I remember my grandparents, my grandfather. You know, they knew how to build cars. You
it,
know, I
I
they knew how
believe
to do
you.
so many things.
I
You know,
believe you. I
yeah.
believe you. And so, yeah, so that's how my thing got started as a kid, with that. And then my mother, so my grandmother used to work for Sears and Roebuck in Louisiana. So she only really did like alterations
Mm-hmm.
and stuff that she was mechanical machine type stuff, like she could only do what she was told,
Okay.
you
So
know
she was like a seamstress.
right,
Right, right. Because
because people always
they used to have those people at Marshall Field. I know
right,
Marshall Field because my grandmother used to go down there and shop, and she always, because of the way she was short, and I guess the way she was built, she whatever she bought, she always had to have it altered. And
right.
they would
So
have a
that's what my
seamstress to come
grandmother
in
did. She
and do
did that
that.
kind of stuff. She didn't
Hmm.
really get to make dresses and just do individual type stuff.
Sure,
She had to
sure.
just do her job,
Okay.
so
So they lived a certain life before you. What did they tell you? Did anybody tell you or encourage you to, you know, get into design?
no, nobody, I wasn't encouraged. I just was taught how to do it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even my mother. Now my mother too. I'm living her dream right now too, because when she had, my father had went to live in Nevada first, and then she came after. So she got a job. She was a maid at first.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me this story one time about Elvis Presley. She said that the hotel she was working in one time, she said that, you know, the maids were there and that he wanted to cover his eyes because he didn't want to look at them because they were black.
Oh, wow.
She told me that one time, and but she she worked as a maid for a little while, and then she got a job because my mother had some education,
Mm-hmm.
so she got a job working with the telephone company. So she even retired from the telephone company, but she I remember as a small child that you know her, of going with her looking at sewing machines one time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she was saying, "Oh, one day I'm gonna buy one." Da 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 da. You know, but it wasn't in their budget. You know, they had kids, and you know they would. You know how life in the '70s. I just want to say this. I just was
Sure.
watching a movie shortly about the whole crack era. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, even though that was happening around the late '70s, '80s, but I'm like so thankful that my parents didn't get hooked on that. My
Okay.
father is more of a black nationalist, and I always say that my mother is real hippie-ish. So I think that's kind of how that's what even what my style is. It's more
Okay.
national, black national hippie type, you know, type thing. But I used to sometimes think, how did they even get together? But you know what I'm saying? Because my mother is way this way, and my dad was way one way. But my mother, she couldn't really sewing was a something that she loved to do and she could do because she grew up sewing. Her mother taught her how to sew.
So
You
did
know,
she make your clothes when you were coming
she
up?
well, no, she
No.
didn't because she was working. She didn't have time.
Mm-hmm.
She even told me one time that she had breastfed me, but my sister, she said when my sister came along, that it was the thing, oh, you have to bottle feed your babies and da 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 da. And then when we were small, we were mostly in Louisiana with my grandmother. But
Mm-hmm.
we would come, like my dad would come and get us, and then my grandmother would bring us back because my mother said it was hard for her to work and have kids, and I understand that.
Okay.
my
But
dad
she,
my
oh,
dad used to tell me that, and now that since my mother's been gone, he has told me that he couldn't stand my mother's mother because um you know she was always keeping us, you know, and he didn't,
okay.
but I was trying to tell my dad because she was helping her daughter.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? You don't understand that because you a man. You know, it
Okay.
was hard for her to work and have us, you know, and he was real particular too about his children. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So anyway, but you know, my mother, she really couldn't, she had to work. So she really
Sure.
couldn't.
Absolutely.
You know,
And
I can remember her maybe making us one or two things, but one day she came home, she had bought a sewing machine, and I remember her hiding it from my dad.
oh,
And I think about that now, and I be like, that's so. And like right now, I'm living her dream because I go by. I have several sewing
now she
machines
hid it from him because she didn't want him to know that she had spent money on the
on
sewing
the sewing
machine.
machine.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It was not in the, you know, it was not in the budget.
But you have such a, I believe that our experiences as we're growing up, because I had the revelation of myself when I finally finished college about
Mm-hmm.
the influence that so many people, and like you said, not that they told me, that I needed to do this or that, but it was the life that they
Mm-hmm.
live that I was a part of.
Right.
And it just became a part of me and influenced how I was able to persevere, how I dealt with things and even how I look at things today,
Right.
even to this very day. And so you have a very rich history in your on your father's side, knowing who he was and him knowing where he came from, your mom coming from descendants of slaves. And there's so many people who maybe have that and don't even know
Mm-hmm.
about this in their history, but it still impacts who you are and how you do things,
Yes.
you know.
Because I look at my sister who is a year younger than me, a year and maybe a year and a half. Anyway, she can't sew at all. She can't sew and she doesn't know anything. And that's why it doesn't know anything about cooking or
Sure.
anything. And I'm like, well, I be looking at her like you wasn't paying attention. Sometimes that's what I say to her, like, girl, what?
Well,
But
that's a very important point, Aluna, because that's exactly what happens. Whatever was going on, you were paying attention.
yeah,
You were
and I
looking,
just
you were taking it in, you were doing
yeah.
what you
Well,
could to be a part of it.
and I don't know if that was because I was older or what. I don't know how that she missed that. But she do have a little artsy type stuff. She can she had covered a chair. And I said, "Oh, she might have that. She might have been paying attention to that, even the upholstery
Oh,
part.
okay. The upholstery.
And she's a good interior decorator."
So she's an entrepreneur, right?
No, my
No,
sister's
she just
not.
knows
She
how to
went
do
to the
these things.
military and now she works for some
Okay.
company. She's not an entrepreneur as of yet, but she says that she wants to be.
Okay. And
But she's not.
she probably will.
Yeah.
Family, tonight we're talking with Aluna Hector. She is the owner of Afro Funky Wear, some of the funkiest looking clothing, some of the most beautiful clothing that you could actually have in your wardrobe. And we're talking with Aluna tonight and talking about her history. You have a very rich history. And
Yes, and so my clothing line, as a kid, my dad being a black nationalist, I was introduced to the African culture as a kid.
okay.
So and then being, brought up, to love yourself. That's what I
Hmm.
be saying all the time, to love how you look, you know, to love how you look. Um and love your hair and everything about you. I was brought up like that
Sure.
from a kid. And I think my dad, he took me to see my first African dance group, this group in the 70s that was touring called Ippy Tumbe. That was performing, they were performing in Las Vegas
Okay.
at one of them big huge hotels where tickets were stupid expensive
Mm.
at that time.
Okay.
And he put the money together to bring his daughters to see that show. Changed my life.
Wow. In what way?
Well, just it just made me be proud of who I am. And
Mhm.
I Googled them, because you can see them like old footage of that group. But they were out, being a kid like 7 or 8, and they was jumping in the stage and
Mhm.
in the air. It was just fabulous. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? And I've been a dancer, an African dancer ever since.
Now, was this a dance troupe? Because I'm not familiar, but
It's
was this a
called Ipi
dance?
Tambe, and
And
they
where
were
are they
a group.
from?
They're from somewhere in Africa,
Okay.
and they were touring the United States, and they came to Las Vegas. My dad brought us from Louisiana to Vegas,
Okay.
driving now in a pickup truck. Okay,
Mhm.
me and my sister in the back of a pickup truck. That's
Okay.
another story. And being from the South, you eat rabbits and stuff. Like
Uh-huh.
they might hit a rabbit in the road
Mhm.
and pull over and get the rabbit and throw it in the back with me and my sister
Okay.
and keep going. That type stuff.
Okay. Okay.
To see that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I be telling him stuff like that, like all the time. He was like, yeah, he was just into black's beautiful type stuff. We had black art. We had, he just was into that black is beautiful type thing. You know what I'm saying? He's just like I told you, he was native. He say his family was native to this land,
Sure.
to Louisiana, where he was at, Shreveport area. He said they have always been there. They were not descendants from slaves. But
So going back to your experience at the dance performance, you said it totally changed your life.
oh yeah, it changed my life. I was in love every.
How did it change your life?
Well, it made me want to pursue to know more
Okay.
about Africa, and it made me feel more comfortable with who I am, and it made me become, start reading more and pay attention more. I
Mm-hmm.
was in the 8th grade. I went to Catholic school my whole
Mm-hmm.
life because my parents are from Louisiana, my mother's side, and most Black Americans in that area are Catholic.
Okay.
And so I didn't even realize how prejudiced it was until I was an adult.
Wow.
So it took me a long time to deprogram myself from that kind of training. I would
Mm-hmm.
never put my kids in Catholic school. But my parents thought that was the educational
Education is
aspect
going to
of
be
it.
better.
But the teachers and the priests and all of them, they was all prejudiced. And it was
Mm-hmm.
me, after going to see Ippy Tambe, maybe a couple years after that,
Sure.
maybe being in the 8th grade, where I told one of the teachers they was talking about the transatlantic slave trade and how we were slaves. And
Mm-hmm.
we Black people were slaves and da da da. And it was me that had got expelled because I
Okay.
had or got suspended because
Mm-hmm.
I told the teacher that we weren't slaves,
That's
we were
right.
enslaved.
That's
That's
right.
the difference.
That's right. So
And so
you were going against, you were countering what they were teaching. And
yes,
then when you went to that performance,
right.
it just helps you to realize your potential more,
Right.
you
And
know?
just to understand, because they're telling you, oh, you're descendants of slaves, but you're not. You're descendants of people who were forcibly enslaved. That's a different thing than that. And
Absolutely.
that's, and to be telling Black children that anyway, they suspended me for 2 weeks or maybe 3 weeks.
Wow.
And my mom was more or less, with them, you have to she was just telling me that she really was upset that I had got suspended. But
Okay.
my dad was like,
He understood.
right. He was
He
like, well,
understood.
where's the lie?
That's
That's
right.
what he was at. She's not lying. It's the truth.
And he was probably proud of you for, standing up and having the courage to say so.
And
Because
yeah,
that is not what you were supposed to do. They try to carve out a place for
yes.
Black people and limit what you can do and then cart you over. So many people did not
Hmm.
realize their potential, because of that.
Yes. So,
And
so really my mother was the one that inspired me to sew.
mhm,
She taught me, and I had her sewing machine for a long time. The one that she had bought and had to hide. I had that for a long time. I don't know where
okay,
it is now. I lost it somewhere. But she taught me how to sew, and she too wanted to, make dresses. And on the even when she retired from the phone company before she got sick, she had worked at a fabric store. So I felt like she was going to finally, be able to do her thing, but then she got ill and
okay,
she couldn't. But she's the one that inspired me to. I would say that my mom is the my most inspiration for that.
inspiration.
And then when I went to school, we went to, my first trip to Africa was from college.
Okay.
And I remember the when I was the first year when I was gonna go, and I was terrified because I had never ever been on a plane that long before.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, I hadn't even really been on a plane that many times. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? At that
Okay.
time. But um, I remember, telling my mom I was afraid, and she told me, look, you got this opportunity that myself and some of us will never have.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And you have to take it. You know what I'm saying? And she said, "What are you afraid of? Are you?"
Mm-hmm.
Because I said, "Well, the plane might crash." And da, da, da. And she said that this is what she straightened me up. She said, if it's your turn to die, nothing
Mm-hmm.
is gonna stop you.
Okay.
That plane, well, if it's your turn, you're gonna go. It's nothing that's gonna stop that.
That's right.
So she said you can't be afraid of that. You have to just live your life, and you got to go and do it. I was so happy she did that. But yeah, she taught me how to sew. I took a few sewing classes, maybe here or there. I don't know. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember if I had sewing in high school. But
Yeah, that was a question I was going to ask because I know at one point they were teaching sewing in high school. As a matter of fact, it was
mhm.
called home economics. You
Yes,
learned how
but
to
I
do
do
sewing.
remember when I was going to college, I was going to choose the path of fashion design.
Okay.
And my dad was like, "What do you mean? You know how to sew, this is what he said, you've been sewing, you've been doing that your whole life." He was talking about with them. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, don't go pay any money to learn something you already know how to do. If you want to do that, go take a business class or do
Mm-hmm.
something else. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is you study, he told me to make sure you love it because you're going to be doing it.
So what did you choose?
That's when I did the undergraduate for African studies.
Ah,
Uh-huh.
and that's when you got to go to Africa.
Yes. And then I came back and did a graduate degree in exercise science too, because after that I realized that I needed to be fit and healthy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Now, what came first, the sewing or the dancing, or were you doing that both at the
well, I
same
was kind
time?
of doing it, I went to UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a school in UCLA at a time where it wasn't really a lot of black people.
Okay.
I had a white roommate that
Mm-hmm.
who my older sister said that she wanted to be black. that that's what my older sister told me, because she met her and she said that she doesn't like you, she wants to be you. But
Mm.
you know how people on the outside can see
See.
things you don't see.
Mm-hmm.
But it was her, because I had a sewing machine at that time. I was sewing at that time, making little things. I've always been crafty, but
Okay.
it was me and her that went to an African dance class in Leimert Park.
You and your roommate?
Yeah, who is a
You and your
white
white
girl?
roommate. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Her name is Andrea. Sometimes I
Okay.
talk to her from time to time.
Okay.
But and that was my first. I was dancing. After I went, it was me and a few other people who are very big right now in the industry of films and stuff, but who was like in the same age group that was there.
Mm-hmm.
And it just blossomed from there. I was with them, with a group that I had been dancing with, and I started really making stuff with them. Like they
Mm-hmm.
was making costumes at one point. And so I was
Okay.
like, "Oh, I can sew too." So I was helping.
Okay. So you
You
were
know,
sewing and you were dancing. You were making a
right,
costume
I was
for
dancing
the
too. And
dance.
then I was still in school, so
Okay.
I was working it
Okay.
out. I was doing a little dancing here and there. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was sewing and making things. And then I realized I could get money from it for it.
Okay. Okay.
So, I'm trying to remember when it really took effect.
Were you still in school or had you graduated? Had you
Oh, when
graduated when
I
it
had
took off?
graduated when I really delved into it. But when I
Okay.
think that, even when I moved, because I moved to Chicago, my ex husband, who is from Chicago, I met him in Los Angeles when I was in school.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up in Chicago. Um, that's how I ended up in Chicago. But it was a girl named Sadie who danced with Nejwa Dance Corps.
Mm-hmm.
That was a teacher of mine when I was in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And so she told me about them, to come over and, and dance with them. And this was
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to say 95,
Okay.
94, 95. But at that time, I still hadn't tapped into the fact that I was that until I would
Into the fact
say,
that you were making clothes, that you're gonna make clothes.
yeah, that I was
Mhm.
to this level that I'm in, or even, even to the, because my business is how I sustain myself. Is how I bought
Sure.
my house. How I do. It's how I do
Absolutely.
everything right now.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm just trying to say that.
So you know what? It probably, going back to what your dad said, you already knew how to do it.
Right,
It was
right,
already there. You
right.
trying to
That's what he
find a
was
point when
saying.
I really took off, but you were already there. Family,
Yeah.
we're talking to Aluna Hector, and she is giving us a wonderful story about her journey as a designer, as a dancer, and then we'll talk a little bit more at the end about her travel specialty. But I tell you what, I do want to know now. I would like for you, because I know you do a lot of vending.
Yes.
That's where I mostly see you at the
Hmm.
festivals. So uh, let's talk about your clothing items a little bit,
Okay.
your clothing line. So, what type of, how would you describe categorize the type of clothing items that someone could purchase from you?
Okay, so the name of my clothing line is called Afro Funk Wear, and I like to say it's where culture and fashion meet.
Okay.
So I'm inspired by the youth, and what really inspired me to African clothes, because I'm a Black American,
Mm-hmm.
and we have our own thing, and so I was inspired by Africa. But being a Black American, I want to be comfortable and I want to wear the clothes that we like to wear.
Sure.
So I just started incorporating the two.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I really like to say that this trend that's going on now, I really feel like I started it. But, hey, I don't know. But I do feel that way. Um,
So what is the trend now? How would you
Well, the
describe it?
trend, what I'm saying is blending the Black American experience and the
Mhm.
African experience. It's
Okay.
blending the two.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
that's what and I mean, like, working with denim, working with jeans are one in one with Black American culture.
Mhm. Mhm.
We're the ones that set the trend for jeans and streetwear, fashion, all of that. So Black Americans, I mean,
Okay. That's right.
everyone looks to us
Mhm.
for fashion.
That's right.
They even say in groups in these companies, if Black Americans wear it, we can sell it to everybody.
Absolutely.
And so my thing was that my creations are a blend of is the Black American and the African experience together.
Mm-hmm.
It's culture and fashion. It's
Mm-hmm.
streetwear. I do hoodies. I
Mm-hmm.
that are highlighted with African influences. I make clothes that I like to say that promote pride and self-esteem in my community.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody sees my clothing or is wearing my clothing, I want people, they want to feel proud.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's
Mm-hmm.
so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that it's Black American, African, that it's our culture.
That's right. That's right.
It's a and that's and that's my thing, to promote. That is my goal, is to promote pride and self-esteem in my community, through fashion.
And
And
that's so it's so important for us because of the suppression of that.
mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people take a lot of our designs, a lot of our fashion, and won't even our music, and
Oh,
won't even give credit, to.
no.
So
Yeah,
I
so
hear you.
yeah, and so just and so my thing is comfort.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is I want to definitely show culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I definitely want to show, bring in the 70s, 60s and 70s look, because that's who I'm inspired by.
Sure.
My mother and her aunts and my dad and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They used to wear bell bottoms and
And my jeans that
sunglasses.
I have from you that I talked about, they are
Yes,
bell bottoms, but
yes,
they are timeless.
yes, and
I
that's
feel like putting them on at any point in time.
yes, and that's one of the things that I like to do. I like to make things that are timeless, that will never go out of style.
Mm-hmm. And so
That's what I like to do.
you have jeans, you have tops, you have coats, you have jackets.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff right now, because I just right now I have the time and well, I'm not going to say the time. I did have the time during COVID, because
Okay.
I was like, whoa, I can stay home and still get paid and make clothes.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
wonderful. But
Now,
now,
do you do importing and exporting? Do they buy your clothes? Do they buy your clothes in Africa?
when I travel to do these different events, I'm doing
Uh-huh.
a lot of dance conferences with international artists, and
Mm-hmm.
they tell me all the time, yes, they do. They ask me, oh, I want to get this. Yeah, I do sell stuff to them.
Okay.
Um, but internationally, I'm selling to, like more or less people that have our same experience, like the Black British.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of those customers.
Okay.
Um, South Africans. A lot of people that wear my clothes are have our same experience as
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
being Black in America.
Okay.
When I was in college and I had one of my professors who was an African, um, he had to explain to me, because I was very, he just had to explain to me that that Africans and Black Americans, we have a different experience with white people.
Yes, that is true.
And so that is a lot of our the issues that's how a lot of our issues and our friction come on in,
That's right.
because they understand how they understand and see white people, understand and see them that same way.
Right.
But they are starting, because of the
Yes,
internet and all of that, they are starting to see
that's right.
what is really going on.
And those who are here, you
Right.
know, are
Because
starting to see.
look at
Mhm.
Diallo, who was killed in New York.
Mhm. Mhm.
So my clothing line is about fashion, and it is Black experience of Africa. It's the Black American experience of Africa. Because when I first went to Africa, I was intrigued by all the colors and fabrics and all of that. But
Okay.
the way they dressed and all of that was just not my style, being a Black American, being born in America.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
just, I have a we so that's what it's about. That's what my
Okay.
clothing line is about.
So if someone, I know how to catch you at the African Festival and, the other festivals, different festivals that we have here in Chicago, because you mostly do vending, right?
Yeah, well, I have my boutique at my house by appointment.
Okay.
And mostly I'm selling on Instagram and Facebook right now. And then I do a lot of annual events. Like I just came back from Atlanta. I did the World Natural Hair Show. I do
Hmm.
a lot of big annual events.
Okay.
But I could be reached at Afro Funkwear on Instagram and Facebook at any
Okay.
time.
Okay.
But yeah, so I do a lot of annual events, Essence Fest, um, National Association of Blacks in Dance,
Hmm.
Black Social Workers, Black Nurses Association, Bonner Brothers.
Okay.
Just a lot of different huge events that I go
Cool.
to, you
Okay.
know. So and that's basically what I've been doing
Hmm.
the last, and I love that. And I
Sure.
love my dad for saying that do something that you love. But I love traveling around.
Are you still dancing?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to an event where I'm going to be selling my clothes and dancing. So I do
Okay.
a lot of those still. I do a
Okay.
because it's that community,
Hmm.
it's the African dance community that put me on the map.
Okay.
They are my biggest, not only are they my biggest supporters, but they're my biggest inspiration,
Hmm.
because that is a group of Black Americans having an African experience.
Absolutely.
And so they're my biggest muse. That's I the music, the drums, just all of that, just all of these women and men that I've known from so long. Like
Mhm.
I didn't watch children grow up right now that are dancing and leading groups and all of that. So
Okay.
yeah, so I still dance
So
on
let
a
me let
regular.
me ask you two questions because
Mhm.
in the on both ends you're a designer and then you're a dancer. For those people who are aspiring, let's start with the designing part that are aspiring to be fashion designers. What would be a word of advice that you would give to them?
Um Well, I would first try to decide on, um, you know, if you love to sew.
Hmm.
So you got to first, because you can design without sewing. So you have to love it, because you have to, that would be, if you love it, then I would say go to school and
Hmm.
learn how to sew, or either try to learn. You don't even I'm not saying like college or anything where you have to pay thousands of millions of dollars, but it's so many different places and ways to learn how to sew.
Hmm.
But learn the craft and learn and try to decide on how you want to, what's your specialty going to be, and try to tap into your unique style,
Hmm.
because I see people trying to copy my thing all the time.
Okay.
um but in the end, what's going to be your bread and butter is if you love to do it and if it's in
Mhm.
your heart.
That's
You know,
right.
I hear people all the time that say, "Oh, I hate to sew," and you could tell that they hate to sew in their
In their
fashion.
work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
you know,
that's a common word of advice.
you
And so
know.
on the other end with the dancing, you know, I often think about parents who want to put their children into dance.
Hmm.
What would you say about that?
Well, I would say especially for black children.
Yes.
I feel like African dancing and drumming is a good way to build pride and self-esteem
Mm-hmm.
because I taught dance for so many years. I used to even own a dance studio and specialize in African dance. And I see my students now, they're adults. Some of them are producing TV shows and
Mm-hmm.
they just have so much pride and self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Some of them, a lot of them, most of them are not even dancers,
Wow.
but they danced a long time. They did it while they were children, and it builds character, pride, and self-esteem, and that is crucial
Mm-hmm.
for your development, for young people's development. So, and it makes them strong. Dancers are the best thinkers. You know, I used to have parents that would punish their children when their children got out of line. They wouldn't let them come to dance class.
Oh
And
wow.
I used to tell them, no, you're not punishing them from this. You got to find something else
Okay.
because it's not a punishment. You know what I'm saying? This is
Hmm.
where they need to be.
That's right. That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? So, but they used to say this, but this is Miss Aluna, this is the only thing they love. I can't, nothing else for me to do. This is the only thing they love.
You say you got to find something else.
Right. I said, find
That's
something
right.
else, not
That's
this.
right. That's right.
But it just builds pride and self-esteem. And we have classes all over the city. You know, you can inbox me. I can tell you where to go. I even still teach sometimes with Iodele. I haven't been lately because during this time I'm traveling on Saturdays.
Okay.
But we it alternates
Mm-hmm.
with the teaching, but it builds pride and self-esteem. It's important. And they're going to learn about their history and their culture more than they're going to learn in CPS or
Mm-hmm.
any of these
Mm-hmm.
schools.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's going
That's
to
right.
open up their minds and make them curious about their culture
That's right.
and their heritage,
That's
you
right.
know, which is
Wow.
important because it's the Sankofa. Because you have to know your past to determine your future. You know, I teach children too sewing and batiking and then your simple
Mm.
fabric stamping, all of
Wow.
that. I do that too.
So how can people get in touch with you again?
So you can call me, 773-595-0786, or Afro Funkwear is on all social media. Instagram, you can just put it in Afro Funkwear on Facebook, Instagram.
Mhm.
It'll come right up.
Wow.
And then you can catch me at some of the summer festivals. I try to do as many as I can, but since I've been in Chicago a long time,
Hmm.
most of you guys just can reach out to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So I try not, and then with these festivals, which is another thing right now for Black businesses, which is a bummer, but I'm
Mm.
happy that I used to do them all because I already have a customer base in Chicago. But
Hmm.
uh it has gotten so bad. The festivals and stuff are, you would say you used to pay $500 to come out. Now it's like 1,200,
Oh my
16,
goodness.
yeah, 1,600.
Why is it costing so much money?
Uh, I want to say COVID. I don't know, but they just all the vendor prices are have doubled and tripled.
And that's since COVID.
Yeah. Even like maybe the
Yeah,
last I
see,
think I saw you at Festival of Life, one of them last festivals. That one used to be like a couple $100, like
well,
375.
I saw you at the Kwanzaa festival
Okay,
in Malcolm
Kwanzaa.
X.
Oh, okay. And then even
Hmm.
that. So that went down to one day. Okay. And then you used to be able to do that whole week for like 375 or whatever. Now it's like $150 for one day for a few hours.
See, I think they're making the people pay for COVID. I mean, I'm seeing it, so many people, and I don't want to get into this conversation too
Yeah.
deep, but so many people are having to pay more taxes now,
Yeah. It's
and
just
everything,
it's
like
expensive.
events
It's
like this is costing so much.
yes.
And the government has their hand, and I just think they're making the American people pay for COVID. All this extra money that they gave out and all of
You
that. It's
this
just
last
it's
event that
ridiculous.
I just did, the World Natural Hair Show, her booths before COVID. Now this is a big event, so before COVID it was $700.
Okay.
Now for that same booth it was 2,000.
Wow.
2,000. And then she had a section where it was, she called it on the rise, where
Mm-hmm.
she was doing like 550 and it was like a little small space, but mostly everybody was over there because
Wow.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I just said
they're
hopefully
making it difficult, huh?
yeah, I said hopefully she looks at that to see
Mm-hmm.
that, that 19
Yeah,
$2,000.
that is a lot of money.
Yep, Bonner Brothers is
So
like
you gotta
25.
sell that much, and then you make, and then the weather. Does
Right.
weather how does that affect you guys when you
Well,
vend?
see, that show wasn't an outside show, so that's another thing. But even African Fest, like all the festivals, I'm just gonna say in Chicago, are double the price, and they're charging people double at the door.
Yes.
So really, you not really it's really very difficult to make money
Mm-hmm.
if you didn't pay $1,000 for your space, and then the promoter is not letting the people in free. They are charging them $35-$40 at the door. Yeah, so it's a sad time now for that part of the business. So we
Okay.
have to really pick and choose like what we're doing. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Nowadays, you
So we
know.
may have to find some other kind of way,
Yeah,
so that
like
people
like the
reach
events
you.
that I come out at, I'm knowing that it's gonna be people there. Like, like I like to do the one show they do in at DuSable over there the 4th of July weekend.
Mm-hmm. Oh
I
yeah,
like to
the
do
art
that.
show. That art
Huh?
show. That art show.
No, not the art. Well, it used to.
Well, it
They
used to
used
be
to do
called the
that.
art show.
See, they don't even do that no more. DuSable don't even do that no more. Now it's the what's the name has taken it over for the Festival of Life, 4th of July weekend. He's been doing it in DuSable, Martin, and it's like he wants like $500-$600 to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and then charging people 35-$40 at the door. And then I can even see, okay, but nowadays they're not even having the talent that's going to bring the people in there to,
Sure.
yeah. So it's kind of like a real sad situation for people like me in this business now. That's the sad part now with black businesses and this pop-up thing. You have to, and then now on top of that, the city wants you to have a license to do that.
Mm-hmm. So everybody's dipping in big.
Yeah, so
Black people, people being taken advantage of again. You
yeah.
know.
And it's unfortunate.
Hmm.
But I'm in this program. I was in this business program that's here in Chicago. We got some We got some fighters out here for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Sunshine Enterprises. I don't know if you
Okay.
heard of it,
No, I haven't.
but it's a business school for black businesses.
Okay.
And so what they do is give you 12 weeks of training on how to run your business.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have, after you do that, then they have all of these programs that support you for your business. Like they sometimes offset some of your booth fees.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they can help you. Like right now, I just got a grant for a photographer. They're paying for a photographer to take the pictures for my website.
So different, helping you through different aspects of your business.
Yes, it's a
Good.
business program in the city of
Okay.
Chicago. It's on
Okay.
the south side.
Is this
And
something Lori? Is this something Lori Lightfoot started, or
I don't
you
know.
know who
But
started?
I'm gonna just say something about Lori Lightfoot.
Okay.
Out of all the mayors since I've been living in Chicago since 1994, okay?
Okay.
This is the only that is the only mayor that I've actually have can I actually can say that have done things that have directly affected me.
Okay. And I'm seeing, doing these podcasts, I'm seeing a lot of young, black entrepreneurs that have opened up brick and mortars, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and they're ambitious, and they're
Yes.
working hard, and they have a good a product, and
Yes.
they're doing
So-
well. So that's a
yes.
lot. That's
So,
a lot. That's a lot to say.
yeah, so it is a lot of things going on to help
Hmm.
you,
Hmm.
to help us, out here, just like this podcast. And it
Sure.
is things kind of helping to offset, this thing. But nowadays, being a black business, we gotta even more so, we have to network and work together
Absolutely,
as much as we
absolutely.
can.
And find ways to circumvent some of this,
Yeah.
try to figure out some kind of way, because what people are doing are taking advantage.
Yes.
The promoters are taking advantage, the city's taking advantage, like, I mean, it's just this is what happens, in
Right.
the capitalist system. And
Right.
so you all, I know you have the ability, will find a way.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting past the top of the hour. It's okay, but I
Okay.
do want to give you an opportunity to talk about your travel business
Okay.
and your travel itinerary that is coming up.
Okay. So my next tour is my next two tours are Senegal and Gambia, and that is June 20th for
Mm-hmm.
10 days. 10 to 14 days. That's for teachers. And I have a lot of people who like I call them my frenemers, because
Mm-hmm.
they're my customers and they're my friends.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's a lot of teachers, and
Mm-hmm.
so they always want to go with me, but they can't go in January.
Okay.
So I'm going around this time with a few of them. On the 20th, I'm taking a group to Senegal and Gambia. But
Okay.
my biggest trip is Ghana, Togo, and Benin, January 3rd, 2024. And that's where we go down to three countries at one time. We attend the Voodoo Fest in Benin. We do we visit 2 to 3 regions in Ghana, and we
Mm-hmm.
also tour Togo as well. So you get to do 3 countries in one trip.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so and that information can be found on my Facebook page or my Instagram page, and that's Afro
Okay.
Funkware.
Afro Funkwear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, and so
So
what we do is we just get it in, and I like to call my trips local, comfortable local.
okay. I like that.
Because because I try to, you don't want to stay in, you don't want to be on the touristy end. You want to try to see.
Absolutely. You want to be with the people. You want to
Yes,
experience the culture. That was
right.
going to be my question to you
Yes.
because I love to
So
travel.
that's what
And
I
that's my
do.
thing. I want to be with the people. I don't
Right.
want to go on just a regular tourist
Yes.
thing.
And that's what I do. And I specialize in that. I specialize in
Mm,
the people being comfortable,
okay.
but you still are in the get to be with the people in the community, get to
Oh,
really
wow.
see the
Okay.
stuff. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? And you not kept on this side, where you don't really get to see everything.
Absolutely.
You
That
know, and
sounds neat.
my groups, we get to see the good and the bad.
Okay.
Everything.
Wow.
Yes.
That is
we
that
be
is
on we
wonderful.
be on the comfortable local level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
yes. And
Well,
so yes,
fam.
I love Africa. I love Gambia. That's where I'm working on building my house.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have a little spot in Ghana too
Okay.
um that that I own, that so that's what I'm doing. I plan to um spend the winters in Africa, like in the
Mm-hmm.
next 7 or 8 years, be gone from
Okay.
November until um well, eventually I want to be gone until April, but the money in America in February is just too good.
Okay. That's a busy time. Hey, that's Black History Month.
Right. And so being an
It's
African
like it's
dancer,
sure.
I covered African dance classes last February. Was it last February? Yeah, this February too. The group that I was covering for, I covered so many dance classes for them because they had shows that I made all my money back just dancing,
Oh,
teaching
wow.
dance, and that I spent in Africa in 1 month. So, you know, and I love to do it.
Well,
It's that's
that's
just such a blessing.
as you said, that's the most important part is that you love the
Yes,
designing of the clothes, you love the dancing, you love and the travel and bringing people
yes.
to their culture in all of those areas because that's who you are. And so I really want to thank you for coming on tonight. I
Thank
really do.
you for
Family,
having me.
we have been talking with Aluna Hector. Uh, she's a designer, she's a dancer, and she's an African travel specialist. And based on what she just said, if you want to experience the culture, you need to definitely get in touch with you. And
Yes.
so tell us again how to contact you.
Yes, so my number is 773-595-0786. You can call me anytime during business hours. And I'm at Afro Funk Wear on Instagram or Facebook. Afro Funk Wear. Real simple.
Absolutely.
And then if you go on there, all my contact information is there too.
Okay. Well,
Hmm.
family, I am going to announce our winner of the book for this month. Frontline Bookstore has been our bookstore for the month of April. You can contact Frontline at frontlinebookpublishing.com, where you can purchase many outstanding reads on that website about Black history, about Black people, about Black perspectives. And the book that was chosen for our monthly book giveaway was The Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. And we're giving away volumes 1 and 2. And our winner is Gonia Kuti. Gonia, you will receive a copy of this book free of charge from Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities because we want to get this information out here. We need to be reading, we need to know who we are. And so also go to rrgbc.org where you can make a donation and you can also purchase from our store products that we have, and that helps us to do the work that we are doing. So I want you to make sure you go and support Afro Funkwear, Aluna Hector, who is a wonderful person in our midst. We're very proud of you and the work that you have done. I have been very proud of the work that you have done over the years that I have known you. And
Okay, thank you
so,
so much.
absolutely. And so we want you to support, repair, restore, and grow Black communities, but most of all, support Black businesses, support our Black business here. And thank you for coming.
All
Good
right.
night.